Now to what some are calling the Great Drought of 2011. The state of Texas, for one of the 14 states suffering and sweltering through this disaster. Some have been comparing to the Dust Bowl of the 1930s, an epic drought the experts started tracking back in February. It hasn't stopped spreading, now covers just about the entire lower third of this country. Water supplies are drying up, crops, cattle are dying, and there's no relief in sight, sadly. NBC's Tan Trung is in Waller, Texas, just north of Houston tonight. Tan, good evening.
Brian, good evening to you. This drought is choking the life out of cattle and crops. Just take a look at this parched cornfield. One of the hardest hit areas is right here in Texas, where the first 6 months of this year have been the driest in more than a century. The drought that's baking a massive swath of the southern U.S. is the most extreme since scientists started tracking drought conditions more than a decade ago. Almost 12% of the country is now enduring a brutal combination of high temperatures and too little rain. In Texas, 213 of 254 counties have been declared disaster areas. Some ranchers struggling to feed their cattle are forced to either sell or slaughter them. Normally fertile farmlands are bone dry. The Texas Farm Bureau says the state's wheat crop is a loss. And hardest hit here is cotton, which accounts for half of the U.S. crop. Estimated agricultural losses in Texas alone total more than $3 billion.
I can remember it being dry. I can remember it being wet, but never this dry, never this hot.
In Oklahoma, there's no relief in sight.
We're talking about this long-term severe drought. It's going to take some major tropical moisture to actually get us close to average for much of the state, and it does not look like that's in the cards here over the next week or so, and that is some bad news.
In central Georgia, farmers hoping for yellow corn are seeing only rows of withering brown stalks.
The drought has affected this area very severely. The corn crop's going to be way off this year.
Further south in Florida, this should be the rainy season. But at Lake Okeechobee, water levels are dangerously low, potentially disastrous for the more than 6 million people who depend on this reservoir for their drinking water and recreation.
No business for everybody around the lake. Probably no water for Palm Beach County to drink.
The drought has fueled an outbreak of wildfires from Arizona to Florida, burning 5 million acres so far, searing images of a scorching summer. Well, there is a small amount of rain forecasted for this region. One climatologist called this a dead landscape, Brian. That's going to take a lot of years to fully recover.
All right, Tan Trung outside of Houston, Texas.